the vast expanse of history, there are moments that define humanity, echoes of which resonate through the ages. This is the story of one such moment. A tale of faith in a world consumed by shadows, of a single family standing against the tide of corruption. It is the beginning of an epic undertaking, born from a divine command. The earth had grown old not in years but in spirit. A shadow had fallen over the hearts of mankind and wickedness had taken root, spreading like a relentless weed. The world was a canvas of chaos painted with strokes of violence, greed, and despair. Brotherhood was forgotten and compassion was a currency no longer valued. In bustling cities and quiet villages alike, the air was thick with the stench of moral decay. Humanity had lost its way, wandering in a wilderness of its own making, deaf to the whispers of virtue that had once guided it. The world was teetering on the brink, ripe for a cleansing, a reset ordained by a power far greater than itself. Amidst this sprawling decay, there was a man who walked a different path. His name was Noah. He was not a king, nor a warrior, but a man of the earth, living a life of quiet integrity with his wife and their 3 sons. His hands were calloused from work, but his spirit was pure. While others chased fleeting pleasures and built empires on foundations of deceit, Noah built his life on a foundation of faith and righteousness. He was a beacon of light in a world drowning in darkness, a stark and lonely contrast to the clamor of corruption that surrounded his peaceful existence. His devotion was an unspoken testament to a higher calling, a life lived in harmony with the Creator. One day, that harmony was pierced by a voice that was not of this world. It was a communication not of words, but of profound, soul-shaking understanding. A divine light, brilliant and pure, enveloped Noah, separating him from the mundane world and placing him in the presence of the Almighty. In this sacred moment, God spoke to him, revealing the coming judgment, a great flood to wash away the world's wickedness. But with this dire prophecy came a command, a blueprint for survival. Noah was instructed to build a colossal vessel, an ark of gopher wood. The instructions were precise: its length, its width, its height, the number of its decks, and the single window near its roof. This ark would be a sanctuary, a floating refuge for his family and for pairs of every living creature on earth. The vision faded, but its weight remained, settling upon Noah's shoulders not as a burden but as a sacred duty. The monumental task began. With his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth by his side, Noah ventured into the ancient forests. The resounding crash of colossal trees falling to the earth was the first note in a symphony of construction. They worked from dawn until dusk, their muscles straining as they hewed the massive logs and began to lay the immense foundation of the ark upon the dry, sun-baked land. As the skeleton of the great vessel began to take shape, far from any sea, crowds of onlookers gathered. They pointed and jeered, their laughter echoing across the plains. They saw not a vessel of salvation, but the folly of an old man. Their mockery was a constant biting wind. But Noah's resolve, forged in faith, did not waver. The first timbers were laid, a testament to a promise made between God and man, setting the stage for the trials and the deluge yet to come. The work was done. As the last timbers were laid, a great and orderly procession began. From the forests and the fields, from the skies and the soil they came. Creatures of every kind, guided by an unseen hand, arrived 2 by 2. Majestic elephants marched with ponderous grace, their great forms moving steadily up the ramp. Lions, their wild nature calmed, walked alongside gentle lambs. Flocks of birds, a kaleidoscope of color and sound, wheeled overhead before settling within the vast vessel. Even the smallest of insects found their way, a living, crawling tapestry ascending into the ark's embrace. Noah, his face a mixture of awe and solemn duty, stood with his family, directing the flow of life into the safety of their wooden sanctuary. Each pair passed, a silent promise of a world to come, disappearing into the cavernous hold of the ark. As the final creature, a lone dove, fluttered aboard, a profound and sudden change fell over the land. The sky, once a brilliant blue, darkened to an ominous, bruised purple. The light faded, casting long, eerie shadows across the ground where the scoffers and mockers had gathered. Their laughter died in their throats, replaced by a stunned, fearful silence. With a deep groaning sound that was not of human making, the great door of the ark began to move. It swung slowly, inexorably shut, a massive wooden barrier sealing the vessel with supernatural finality. Just as the door settled into its frame, locking Noah and his precious cargo within. The first drop of rain fell. It was a single heavy drop, a harbinger of the cataclysm to come. What began as a single drop quickly became a trickle, then a shower, then a torrential downpour of impossible force. The heavens opened and rain fell not in sheets, but in solid curtains of water that battered the earth. Simultaneously, the ground itself seemed to rupture. From deep within the planet, the fountains of the great deep burst forth, spewing colossal geysers into the air. The waters rose with terrifying speed. Sweeping shots show the flood engulfing everything in its path. Humble homes were swept away like driftwood. Grand cities were swallowed by the churning tide, and soon, even the tallest mountains disappeared beneath the waves. The world that had been was erased, submerged under a violent global ocean. Tossed upon the endless raging sea, the Ark was a solitary vessel of life in a world of death. Inside, the chaos of the storm was a constant roar, a reminder of the destruction unfolding outside. Yet within its wooden walls, a different scene played out. Noah and his family moved with quiet faith and unwavering perseverance. They tended to the animals, their days filled with the simple, rhythmic tasks of feeding and caring for the creatures entrusted to them. Amidst the fury of the storm and the rocking of the great ship, they gathered to pray, their voices a small but steady testament to their trust in the promise of deliverance. The Ark drifted, a lonely speck on the face of the waters, carrying the hope of a new beginning through the darkest of nights. After a year of tempest and uncertainty, the great storm finally ceased. The relentless rain stopped, the geysers of the deep fell silent, and the Ark, a solitary vessel of hope, floated upon a vast, tranquil ocean under a slowly clearing sky. For months, Noah and his family lived in this quiet aftermath, drifting on the placid waters that covered the world. Then one day, a new sight broke the horizon. The peaks of the highest mountains, like ancient sentinels, began to emerge from the receding sea. The long, dark chapter was drawing to a close, and the promise of land stirred the air with anticipation. A new world was waiting to be reborn from the depths. In this time of waiting, Noah sought a sign, a confirmation that the earth was ready to welcome life again. He opened the Ark's single window and sent forth a dove, a delicate messenger tasked with surveying the transformed world. After its first journey, it returned, having found no place to rest. 7 days later, he sent it out once more. This time, the dove returned at evening, and in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. It was a simple, tender green leaf, yet it was the most profound symbol of hope they had ever seen. It was the first sign of new life, undeniable proof that the waters were abating and the earth was healing. A wave of immense relief and joy washed over the family, their hearts filled with gratitude for this token of peace and new beginnings. Following this hopeful sign, the waters continued to recede, and the Ark, guided by an unseen hand, drifted gently until it came to rest. With a soft final bump, the vessel settled upon the slopes of a mountain, its long and arduous journey finally over. The rhythmic rocking that had been their constant companion for so long had ceased. Silence, profound and absolute, filled the Ark. The family and the animals within sensed the change. A sense of stillness and finality replaced the motion of the waves. They had reached their destination. The world outside, once a place of chaos and destruction, was now their promised home. With reverence and a sense of profound wonder, Noah approached the great door of the Ark. As it swung open, brilliant, unfiltered sunlight flooded the cavernous interior, chasing away the last shadows of their long confinement. The air that rushed in was crisp, clean, and alive with the scent of damp earth and fresh growth. Noah, his wife, their sons, and their wives led the procession, stepping out onto a world washed clean, vibrant, and untouched. Behind them, the pairs of animals followed, their calls and cries echoing in the pristine silence as they took their first steps onto the new earth. It was a moment of pure awe and overwhelming gratitude, a sacred dawn for all of creation. Standing on the renewed earth, Noah's first act was one of thanksgiving. He gathered stones and built an altar, a place to honor the God who had delivered them through the flood. As he offered his heartfelt praise, a breathtaking spectacle unfolded in the heavens. A magnificent, vibrant rainbow stretched across the sky, its brilliant colors painting an arc of light from one end of the horizon to the other. It was a divine signature, a symbol of God's covenant with humanity and every living creature. It was a promise, sealed in light and color, that never again would the waters of a flood cover the earth to destroy all life. This celestial bow was a sign of mercy, an everlasting reminder of God's faithfulness. Thus began the new life of Noah's family, a fresh start for all of humanity. The story of their journey became a timeless testament to the power of faith and the virtue of obedience. It teaches us that even in the face of overwhelming doubt and ridicule, holding fast to what is right can lead to salvation. It shows that obedience to a higher purpose, even when the path is difficult and the destination unseen, is a cornerstone of a righteous life. And most importantly, Noah's story is an enduring symbol of hope, a powerful reminder that after every storm, there is the promise of a second chance, a new beginning, and the unwavering grace of a promise kept.